Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to explore a profound question. Who is the mind really talking to? It's a question that may seem simple on the surface, yet beneath it lies a deep and transformative journey. Each of us has been conditioned by life's experiences, relationships, and societal expectations to carry an internal dialogue that is often far removed from our true essence. We are so consumed with thoughts and judgments about ourselves, others, and the world around us that we may forget to ask the most important question of all: who am I, really? In a world that constantly pulls us in many directions, it is easy to lose sight of our authentic selves. But the good news is, the path to discovering the authentic you is always within reach, waiting to be awakened. Today we will embark on this exploration together, and by the end, I hope you'll feel a renewed sense of connection to the person you were always meant to be. We are going to look beyond the mind's chatter and begin to understand who it is truly speaking to. The mind as the messenger of conditioning. We often think of the mind as a neutral entity, a tool we use to navigate the world. However, the mind is more than just a tool. It is a product of our conditioning, shaped by our past experiences, societal influences, and familial teachings. From the moment we are born, we are exposed to a myriad of ideas and beliefs that define our reality. These external influences seep into our subconscious, molding our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. Yet, many of these beliefs are not truly ours. They are borrowed from the world around us. The mind, as we know it today, is speaking to us through the lens of this conditioning, often reinforcing beliefs that limit our potential and distort our sense of self. But if we pause for a moment and listen with a deeper awareness, we begin to realize that the mind's chatter is not always the truth. There is a space within us that exists beyond the mind, a place where our true self resides. To connect with this true self, we must learn to discern the difference between the conditioned mind and the authentic voice of our soul. It's in this quiet space of awareness that we begin to discover who we are at our core, not who we were told to be. It is not always easy to break free from the patterns of thought that have been ingrained in us for years. But with practice, patience, and self-compassion, we can begin to gently release the grip of conditioning and open ourselves to the truth of who we really are. By doing so, we create the opportunity to rediscover the freedom and authenticity that lies within us all. The power of self-awareness in rediscovering the authentic self. Self-awareness is the key to unlocking the door to our true self. When we become aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions, we begin to recognize the subtle patterns that govern our lives. It's in this awareness that we can begin to see through the illusions of the mind and the ego. These patterns often emerge as judgments, fears, doubts, and insecurities, feelings that arise from the conditioned beliefs we carry. Many of us have been taught to ignore or suppress these feelings, thinking that they are part of who we are. However, true self-awareness requires us to be present with all aspects of ourselves, including the uncomfortable and imperfect ones. By embracing our inner world with love and compassion, we can gently dissolve the barriers that keep us from experiencing our authentic self. When we stop identifying with the stories the mind tells us, we open ourselves to the possibility of something greater. the realization that we are more than our thoughts, more than our past, more than our external circumstances. Self-awareness, when practiced regularly, creates the space for us to align with our higher self, the part of us that is wise, loving, and eternal. It is this alignment that allows us to step into our authenticity and live in accordance with our true nature. Through awareness, we learn to trust ourselves, to honor our own feelings, and to move in the direction of what truly resonates with our soul. The illusion of the ego and its grip on our identity. The ego, that part of us that strives for control, validation, and approval, often stands in the way of our authentic self. It is a false identity created by the mind that tries to convince us that we are separate from others and that our worth is determined by external achievements. The ego is constantly comparing, competing, and striving to be better than others, and in doing so, it distracts us from the truth of who we are. When we identify with the ego, we are trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, anxiety, and insecurity. We feel the need to prove ourselves, to gain the approval of others, and to maintain a certain image. Yet, the ego is not our true self. It is a construction built upon fear and a desire for external validation. Our authentic self, on the other hand, is rooted in love, acceptance, and inner peace. It does not need validation because it knows its inherent worth. The key to discovering our authentic self is to transcend the ego and its illusions. This does not mean that the ego must be eliminated, but rather that we must learn to observe it without attachment. When we let go of the need to control and surrender to the wisdom of our true self, we find freedom. We begin to realize that we are not defined by our achievements, our appearance, or our possessions. We are defined by the love and wisdom that resides within us. This understanding allows us to live with greater authenticity, knowing that we are enough just as we are. The role of self-love in healing the mind. One of the most powerful tools in discovering our authentic self is the practice of self-love. Self-love is not about vanity or selfishness. It is about honoring ourselves with the same kindness, compassion, and respect that we would offer to a loved one. When we love ourselves, we free ourselves from the harsh judgments of the mind and the limiting beliefs that keep us small. Self-love is the foundation of healing, for it is only when we love ourselves that we can fully embrace our flaws and imperfections. By loving ourselves, we acknowledge that we are worthy of all the good things life has to offer, and we open ourselves to receiving the love and abundance that is our birthright. The mind, often filled with critical thoughts and self-judgment, can be a source of great pain. But when we practice self-love, we begin to heal the wounds of the past and create a new narrative for ourselves. Self-love is a radical act of self-empowerment that allows us to break free from the constraints of the mind and connect with the truth of who we are. Through self-love, we discover that we are not defined by our mistakes, our flaws, or our past experiences. We are defined by the love we hold for ourselves, and this love has the power to heal all wounds. The importance of silence in reconnecting with the authentic self. In our noisy world, it is often difficult to hear the voice of our true self. The constant chatter of the mind, the distractions of technology, and the demands of everyday life can make it challenging to tune into our inner wisdom. Yet silence, is one of the most powerful tools we have for reconnecting with our authentic self. When we embrace silence, we create the space for our inner voice to emerge. It is in the quiet moments that we can hear the whispers of our soul, guiding us toward the truth of who we are. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of awareness. It is in silence that we can observe our thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass without becoming attached to them. This practice of stillness allows us to detach from the conditioned mind and step into a deeper state of awareness. In silence, we remember who we are beyond the noise of the world. We reconnect with the essence of our being, which is always present, always available, and always in alignment with our highest good. When we make time for silence each day, we begin to hear the voice of our authentic self more clearly. This voice is one of love, peace, and wisdom, and it always leads us toward our highest potential. The healing power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most profound acts of self-love and a powerful tool in the journey of discovering our authentic self. Often, the mind holds on to past hurts, grudges, and resentments, and these emotional wounds become a barrier to our true self. When we are consumed with anger, bitterness, or regret, we are allowing the past to dictate our present reality. Yet, forgiveness is the key that sets us free. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others. It is about releasing ourselves from the grip of the past. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the burden of negative emotions, and we create space for healing and growth. Forgiveness is an act of self-empowerment, for it is only when we forgive that we can truly move forward in our lives. Holding on to resentment and anger keeps us trapped in a cycle of pain and suffering, but when we choose forgiveness, we break free from these chains. Forgiveness allows us to let go of the past and step into the present moment with a renewed sense of peace and freedom. It is an essential step in the process of reconnecting with our authentic self. For when we forgive, we release the weight of the past and make room for love and healing to enter our hearts. The role of intuition in discovering your true self. Intuition is the inner guidance system that connects us to our authentic self. It is the voice of wisdom that resides deep within us, and it is always available to guide us on our journey. The mind, however, often tries to override intuition with logic, fear, and doubt. We may second-guess ourselves or dismiss our intuitive insights because they don't make sense according to the mind's reasoning. Yet, intuition is one of the most reliable tools we have for reconnecting with our true self. It is the voice of our soul, guiding us toward decisions, relationships, and experiences that align with our highest good. To discover our authentic self, we must learn to trust and follow our intuition. This requires us to quiet the mind, listen deeply, and take action based on the guidance we receive. Intuition speaks in subtle ways. Through a gut feeling, a sudden insight, or an inner knowing. It is often quiet, but if we take the time to listen, we will find that it always leads us in the right direction. Intuition is the bridge between the mind and the soul, and when we learn to trust it, we can navigate life with greater ease and clarity. The power of gratitude in transforming the mind. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for shifting our perspective and reconnecting with our authentic self. When we cultivate a practice of gratitude, we begin to shift our focus from what is lacking in our lives to what is already abundant. The mind, with its tendency to focus on problems, challenges, and perceived shortcomings, often keeps us stuck in a state of lack. But gratitude transforms this mindset, allowing us to see the beauty, joy, and blessings that are already present. By practicing gratitude each day, we begin to reprogram the mind, replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. Gratitude opens the heart, and when the heart is open, it is easier to connect with the true essence of who we are. When we express gratitude for ourselves, for others, and for life itself, we acknowledge the goodness that already exists within us and around us. Gratitude brings us into alignment with the present moment, helping us to appreciate the journey rather than constantly striving for an elusive destination. When we practice gratitude, we shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. And in doing so, we create the space for more love, peace, and joy to enter our lives. The courage to be authentic in a world of expectations. In a world that is often focused on external appearances and societal expectations, it takes great courage to be authentic. We are constantly bombarded with messages about how we should look, what we should achieve, and who we should be. These messages can create a sense of pressure to conform, and as a result, we may suppress our true selves to fit into the mold of what others expect of us. However, the true path to fulfillment lies in embracing our authenticity, regardless of what others may think. Being authentic means honoring our unique gifts, talents, and desires, and not allowing the opinions of others to define our worth. It requires us to be brave enough to stand in our truth, even when it feels uncomfortable or scary. But the reward of living authentically is immeasurable. When we embrace our true selves, we attract people and experiences that resonate with who we really are. We create deeper, more meaningful connections, and we begin to experience the freedom and joy that come from living in alignment with our true nature. Authenticity is a courageous act, but it is also the most liberating. When we step into our authentic selves, we free ourselves from the need to conform, and we open ourselves to a life of endless possibilities. Living with purpose and passion. When we discover our authentic self, we uncover our true purpose in life. Our purpose is not something that is given to us by others. It is something that arises naturally from within us. It is the unique expression of who we are, and it is the key to living a fulfilling and meaningful life. Purpose is what gives us direction, motivation, and passion. And when we live in alignment with our purpose, we experience a sense of flow and joy. The mind may try to distract us with doubts and fears, but when we listen to the guidance of our authentic self, we are led toward our true purpose. Living with purpose is about more than just achieving goals. It is about living in a way that feels true to our soul. It means following our passions, pursuing what excites us, and contributing to the world in a way that is meaningful to us. When we live with purpose, we feel alive, inspired, and connected to something greater than ourselves. Purpose is the compass that guides us on our journey, and when we align with it, we experience a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. As we journey through life, we often find ourselves caught in the noise of the mind, struggling to hear the voice of our authentic self. But through practices such as self-awareness, forgiveness, silence, and self-love, we can break free from the conditioning that has shaped us. We can silence the ego, embrace our inner wisdom, and live in alignment with our true nature. The path to discovering our authentic self is not always easy, but it is worth every step. As you move forward on this journey, remember that your true self is always within you, waiting to be rediscovered. Trust in the process, trust in yourself, and know that you are worthy of living a life that is true to who you are. When you live authentically, you create a ripple effect of love and healing, not only for yourself, but for the world around you.